evening and good to have you with us on this edition of the Urban Debate. Viewers, it's been about 85 days, little over 12 weeks since Sushant Singh Rajput died. And the coverage and the noise around his death, there's many speculation theories started to float about. It's been about 40 days since Bihar police stepped in, and then the CBI, the ED, and now the Narcotics Bureau. And for 80 days, we've spoken about what could have happened. Tonight, I want to have a special conversation. Tonight, I want to emphasize on something that Mirror Now has often said in the past, which is that creating noise and hyperventilating and hysteria doesn't get you justice. Solid legal evidence, fair, proper investigation, that gets you justice. So tonight, we are going to look at the investigation done so far by the CBI, the Enforcement Directorate. And we are going to talk about those many theories that were floated about and what really happened to them. How many of them are still alive in terms of any lead? In how many of those theories or leads has the investigative agency found any evidence? Tonight, we remind you and we remind ourselves that it's not about the noise. It's not about jumping from one to the other to the third conspiracy theory. But it is about facts, and only facts that matter in delivering justice in any case. If we've not learned it from our past experiences, perhaps it is time for us to do so now. And let's simply talk about the facts. Tonight we're going to present to you what we call, in a sense, the autopsy of the Sushant Singh case. Not him, but this entire case. It is extremely important that we are able to filter out all the noise, the hysteria, the speculation theories, the narratives that people want you to believe, and only look at the facts as they stand. It is also equally important for us to question the probe agencies. They have been given the task of getting us the justice, bringing the truth out. So, as media, we will continue to do that. We will continue to ask questions about the investigation, the way it is being done, and what they have found. But let me give you some examples of why we believe this must be said tonight here on Mirror Now. Few examples. If you remember, viewers, just as Sushant died, this whole halla about nepotism and Bollywood's nepotism being the reason behind it exploded. And everybody wanted to talk about it. Everybody wanted a piece of it. Nobody is talking about that anymore. Then we moved on to the fact that it wasn't suicide, that it was a murder. Then we moved on to a likely rape angle, and that there was a rape and a cover-up. Then we moved on to Sushant being drugged and poisoned. Then we moved on and heard about how there were not one bodies, but two bodies, sometimes even more, and what really happened that night. In none of these theories and big talking points have the agencies officially on record said that they have found any evidence so far. So far. We don't know what may come up tomorrow. Before I go across to our reporters who will bring you up to date about actual facts for each of the agencies that's investigating this case right now, I want to go across to our managing editor, Vinay Tiwari. Vinay, good evening to you and thank you for being with us on this special broadcast. Vinay, let's begin by explaining why we here at Mirror Now, why you and I felt the need to have this conversation tonight.
Three very big reasons, Tanvi. Number one, in any case where a headline crime is involved, and I use the term headline crime because in India, a couple of lakh of suicides happen every year. None of them attract the kind of attention this particular case has attracted. Now, let's assume that this particular alleged suicide comes under the realm of legitimate suspicion and hence must be investigated. And that obviously makes it a headline crime. An effective conviction and an effective justice in a headline crime can only happen and should only be construed as justice when the right accused has been caught, tried in a legitimate court, not the court of television studios, but in a legitimate court that the Indian Constitution provides for, and then is convicted for the offense that has been made out by the investigative agencies. That is the real justice. And if that happens, it restores the faith of people in the process of judiciary, in the process of investigation, in the process of trial in this country. If that does not happen, headline crimes going bad or headline cases falling flat in a court of law damage people's confidence in the process of criminal justice system. So it's necessary and very essential that investigating agencies get the headline crimes right as well, much like they should get each crime that they investigate, but certainly the headline crimes, because they attract so much of attention and people follow it with so much of detail that it is critical that they need to get it right. That is part one. Part two, very obviously, if there is a case of a magnitude where there are enough numbers of grounds of suspicion, you need to investigate that. But this is a very curious case, Tanvi, where the probe and the scope of the investigation has kept widening, but the confusion has also kept increasing. You would expect that as the probe widens and it is handed over to these specialized agencies, the suspicion gets narrowed and you actually figure out what exactly was the crime. Today you have a situation where there are 3 premier investigative agencies that are now spending a lot of time, energy, and even the exchequer's money on investigating a case where we really don't still know what exactly is the crime made out till now. We are close to the 40th day of the investigation of the central investigative agencies, and we still don't know whether we have enough to proceed on the grounds of 306, which is abetment to suicide. Do we have enough to proceed on the grounds of an abetment to suicide or criminal conspiracy with regards to money laundering or a Hawala transaction, or as it now transpires, the drug angle, which is the new investigation which the NCB began. There is one other reason, Tanvi, that is extremely important that we need to talk about it. It is the right of the media, and that's the principal responsibility of the media to ask questions. But I'm afraid justice in any case does not happen by the quantity of the shrillness in the campaign. It happens by the longevity and the consistency of the questions that you ask of investigative agencies as the probe moves along. It has taken the Indian premier investigative agencies over 40 days just to arrive at the basics. It takes quite a long time and a very, very detailed, hard, painstaking work for you to arrive at guilt of any individual or not, whoever that individual may be, however powerful or well-known that individual may be. But there is a process under law, and the Indian Constitution actually specifies that the process of law has to be done under the Indian Evidence Act and the Code of Criminal Procedure, because that's the only way to eliminate any sense of personal bias or any misdoing that may be carried out by an investigative agency. But I'm afraid you cannot replace that with the shrillness and the loudness of your voice to ensure that justice gets done. To ensure justice gets done in this case, and it must be done, we need to get the investigative agencies to probe this case effectively, professionally, and to ensure that the right accused are convicted in a court of law.
Yes, absolutely, Vinay, and no amount of judgments that get passed anywhere in our living rooms, on social media, on mainstream media are really important. What is important right now is the investigation that gets carried out and the case that gets proven in court, if there is one. Now, even as we speak, Vinay, we've actually got a news briefing being held by the lawyer for Sushant Singh's family. Mr. Vikas Singh is speaking. He is responding to the complaint that's been filed by RIA and rubbishing that complaint, saying Mumbai police has no jurisdiction, cannot be taking up this complaint. Let's just listen in to what it is that he has to say tonight.
Somehow derail the investigation from the line in which it is going and somehow deflect the minds of the people from what is happening in the investigation, where so many new facts are coming to light. In fact, the family was not even aware of this extensive drug angle being involved. And I don't want to comment on this because it is still ongoing. But very soon we are quite hopeful that the entire conspiracy in this very heinous crime will come out, and the accused persons will be properly charge sheeted and will be made to face the law. Thank you.
सर रिया अभी भी बांद्रा थाने में बैठी हुई है। सर रिया जो है अभी भी अपने कंप्लेंट के साथ बांद्रा पुलिस स्टेशन में ही मौजूद है। तो जिस तरीके से आप कह रहे हैं कि मुंबई पुलिस को कोई अधिकार नहीं है और ना ही हस्तक्षेप करना चाहिए, तो अभी वहां बैठने का क्या मकसद हो सकता है?
देखिए, अगर बांद्रा पुलिस इस कंप्लेंट को एक्सेप्ट करती है तो वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर का उल्लंघन होगा और वो कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट होगा। और अगर बांद्रा पुलिस अगर इसको आगे बढ़ाना चाहेगी तो हम कंटेम्प्ट ऑफ कोर्ट लगा करके सुप्रीम कोर्ट में इस मामले को आगे बढ़ाएंगे और इंश्योर करेंगे कि इस तरह से जो ये मामले को एक डाइवर्ट करने की कोशिश की जा रही है उसको हम सफल ना होने दें।
सर, जिस तरह से इस पूरे मामले में 15 करोड़ रुपए के लेन देन की बात थी, रूमी जाफरी ने ये बताया, जो फिल्म डायरेक्टर फिल्म प्रोड्यूसर है, उन्होंने बताया कि जिस फिल्म को लेकर चर्चा हुई थी और जिनसे बात है कि 15 करोड़ रुपए का भुगतान रिया और सुशांत की फिल्म के लिए दिया जाएगा, वो भुगतान आज तक दिया ही नहीं गया।
देखिए, ये सारे मामले इन्वेस्टिगेशन के हैं और आप लोग को मैंने पहले भी कहा है कि जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन के मामले हैं उसमें मेरा बोलना बिल्कुल भी ठीक नहीं है, क्योंकि मामला अभी बहुत ही आगे बढ़ चुका है इन्वेस्टिगेशन, और हम लोग उम्मीद कर रहे हैं कि जल्दी से जल्दी इसमें खुलासा होगा और चार्जशीट फाइल होगी और पता चलेगा कि किस तरह से मनी ट्रेल अगर गया है तो कैसे गया है और क्या माध्यम था उस मनी ट्रेल को निकलने का।
सर, जो ये प्रिस्क्रिप्शन आया है आरएमएल के डॉक्टर तरुण कुमार का, जिसको लेकर शिकायत की है रिया ने, उसको लेकर आप क्या कहेंगे, आपका क्या स्टैंड है?
देखिए, जहां तक उस प्रिस्क्रिप्शन का सवाल है, हम तो अभी सिर्फ उनके कंप्लेंट को डील कर रहे हैं। इस कंप्लेंट में कोई बेसिस बनता है कि नहीं बनता है, इसको डील कर रहे हैं। जहां तक प्रिस्क्रिप्शन का मामला है, जब ट्रायल में अगर इस प्रिस्क्रिप्शन को लाया जाएगा तो उसको भी अलग से डील करेंगे, लेकिन आज मेरे हिसाब से इसको डील करने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि ये कंप्लेंट ही बेबुनियाद है। ये कंप्लेंट पुलिस के पास जा ही नहीं सकती, इसमें कोई क्रिमिनलिटी नहीं है। इसमें क्रिमिनलिटी उनके तरफ से है by misusing the police machinery and getting a false case registered under section 182।
प्रिस्क्रिप्शन केस पर नार्कोटिक्स को लेकर इतने चैट रिया के सामने आए हैं, क्या लगता है कि रिया को गिरफ्तार कर लेना चाहिए?
देखिए, ये तो उनका एक डिसीजन है गिरफ्तार करने का, किस तरह का एविडेंस उनको चाहिए गिरफ्तार करने के लिए, इसमें भी इंटायरली डिस्क्रिशन पुलिस का है। लेकिन हाँ, अगर परिवार के वकील की हैसियत से अगर पूछिएगा तो मेरे को लगता है जल्दी से जल्दी गिरफ्तारी होगी तो इसमें मामला बहुत खुलासा होगा, लेकिन ये इंटायरली डिस्क्रिशन है इन्वेस्टिगेशन का।
सर, जिस तरीके से मामला पूरा मौत मर्डर के लिए जांच की जा रही थी, लेकिन अब जो मामला है कहीं ना कहीं ड्रग की जांच के इर्द गिर्द घूम रहा है, क्या आपको लग रहा है मामले की जांच सही दिशा में जा रही है?
देखिए, ये ड्रग एक एडिशनल एंगल है। ड्रग के आ जाने से मतलब ये नहीं कि मर्डर या जो अबेटमेंट टू सुसाइड है किसी तरह से वो केस कमजोर हुआ है। वो केस होने के बावजूद ये एक और एडिशनल केस निकल के आया है सारे मामले में, और इसमें भी बड़ी सीरियस ऑफेंसेस निकल के आ रही हैं। इसमें सिर्फ ड्रग कंजम्पशन की बात नहीं आ रही है, बट ड्रग डीलिंग की बात भी आ रही है। इसलिए ये मामला किसी तरह से ड्रग का मामला आना मेन केस को किसी तरह से कमजोर नहीं करता है, मेन केस को किसी तरह से हस्तक्षेप नहीं करता है।
सर, इस पूरे मामले में मुंबई पुलिस के पास, जैसा आपने बताया, सुप्रीम कोर्ट के ऑर्डर के बाद उनके पास कोई ज्यूरिसडिक्शन नहीं है। क्या यही शिकायत अगर सीबीआई के पास लेके जाए रिया तो उस समय कितना इसकी अहमियत रहेगी?
देखिए, सीबीआई के पास ले जा सकती हैं, जरूर ले जा सकती हैं अगर उनको इसमें कोई केस बनता है, लेकिन इसमें कोई क्रिमिनलिटी है ही नहीं। सीबीआई कोई भी पुलिस एजेंसी हो, चाहे मुंबई पुलिस हो या सीबीआई हो या पटना पुलिस हो, जब तक कि कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस नहीं हो, ऑफेंस ही नहीं, नॉर्मल ऑफेंस जो कॉग्निजेबल नहीं होता है वो मैजिस्ट्रेट के पास जाता है, वो पुलिस उस पर डायरेक्टली इंटरफेयर नहीं कर सकता। जो कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस है जिसमें कि पुलिस डायरेक्टली एंटरटेन कर सकता है, अगर वैसा कोई कमीशन ऑफ कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस हो तभी पुलिस के पास जा सकता है। और अगर इसमें कोई कॉग्निजेबल ऑफेंस होता इस कंप्लेंट में तो जरूर वो सीबीआई के पास जा सकती थी और कह सकती थी कि चूंकि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने कहा है कि इस मामले को आपको, सारी मामले को आपको इन्वेस्टिगेट करना है, तो इस मामले को भी आपने आप उसमें लेकर के इन्वेस्टिगेट करें।
आपने कहा कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट के बाद ये मुंबई पुलिस को लेना ही नहीं चाहिए था और रिया ने ऐसा किया, अभी भी वहां पर है, तो क्या लगता है कि कोई पीछे से गाइड कर रहा है, कोई है उनके पीछे इस तरह से उनको मोटिवेट कर रहा है, तमाम जो एक तरह से डिसीजन लिए जा रहे हैं?
Well, that's Vikas Singh, lawyer representing Sushant Singh's family, demanding investigation and justice, now saying that if Mumbai police accepts Riya Chakrabarty's complaint against Sushant's family, then they would be going against the Supreme Court order, simply because the Supreme Court has said that all angles and all fresh complaints, follow-up complaints, will have to be taken up by the CBI. So the Mumbai police has no right here to now step in and all that they're doing is resorting to some other kind of mischief. Well, all we have seen actually in the past 80 days is a lot of jurisdiction fight, a lot of political fight, a lot of mudslinging and name-calling, a lot of conspiracy theories, building a narrative, making charges, passing judgment where it wasn't right to do so. So, what is right? what are the facts that we know so far? Let's talk about that. Let's not get carried away. Let's not get distracted. Let's talk about the facts right now. And I want to go across to our reporters who've been tracking this case from day one and know what the status is right now. Quickly, very quickly, as I go first to Sandhya to speak about the CBI case, let me remind you, viewers, that from 14th of June, the day Sushant died, till about 19th of August, Mumbai police was investigating this case. The Bihar police stepped in on 25th of July, which is when the FIR in Bihar was filed. They too went about till 19th August with their investigation. Why do I say 19th August? Because that's the day Supreme Court decided that the CBI will investigate this case, and CBI only. Enforcement Directorate filed its FIR on 31st of July and started investigation. CBI registered a case on 6th of August and officially full-fledged with all right as per Supreme Court began the investigation from 19th of August. But before that, they had already started taking statements of Sushant's family, looking into the case details of what had been shared by the Bihar police. CBI then the Enforcement Directorate shared information with the Narcotics Bureau, and the NCP came in by 26th of August. Now, as of 7th September, Sandhya, let's begin with you. As of 7th September, in the charges and the sections that are under investigation by the CBI, what have they found?
So first things first, Tanvi, CBI's case is completely based on Bihar Police's FIR. All the sections are same. The name of the accused are the same. So what is CBI's case? CBI, as per CBI FIR, Riya Chakravarti is accused of abetment to suicide, cheating, criminal breach of trust, wrongful confinement, and also theft in Sushant's house. These are the allegations Riya Chakravarti is facing. And according to CBI and its FIR, Riya Chakravarti's family members, her brother, her father, her mother, helped her do this. And not just the family members, Sushant's staff as well, which is Samuel Miranda, his former house manager, Shruti Modi, his former manager, also helped Chakravarti family to do this to Sushant. That's the CBI's case. So first thing, when CBI was actually recreating the scene of incident, CBI was trying to figure out whether there was a foul play or not, because that was one, you were talking about conspiracy theories. There was this one theory that how this is not a suicide but a murder. But let me tell you, officially till now what CBI is maintaining that there is, based on their investigations so far, there is absolutely no foul play when it comes to suicide. Now, how has CBI reached this conclusion? And what I'm quoting right now is the official statements from CBI till now. So CBI has not only recorded statements of those who were present in the house, statements of family members of Sushant Singh Rajput, including his sister Meetu Singh, who was the first one to see Sushant's dead body as she lived in the same city. Not only that, she was someone who lived with Sushant from 8th August, I beg your pardon, 8th June till 12th of June, which means during his last days. And apart from that, CBI has also on 3 occasions recreated the scene of incident. CBI went on and took measurements, because that's a part of the recreation, to see whether or not a suicide is possible or not. Till now, CBI's official statement says nothing about this being a foul play. CBI's case is still abetment to suicide here. Tanvi.
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to, ask you specifically about the scene recreation that was done at Sushant's house. They have exhaustively, Sandhya, like you pointed out, exhaustively questioned the house help and this friend of Sushant, Siddharth Pitani, who was there at that point in that night. And day after day after day, they were called for questioning. They went and recreated the entire scene as is being told by various witnesses to them. So let's talk a little bit about that, Sandhya, because there was allegation about, the way his body was found hanging. It wasn't really, it couldn't have been suicide. The marks that were on the body, the fact that there were multiple bodies that emerged from that house that night and taken in an ambulance, multiple ambulances. Now, in all of this, is there a lead that CBI right now believes still needs to be followed to see any merit in these theories?
as per CBI's official stand, till now, nothing of that sort is there, Tanvi. Talking about recreation, you spoke about how extensively it was done. 3 days and for hours. For the first 2 days, Siddharth Pithani, Sushant's friend and flatmate who was present in the house that day, along with Sushant's house help Neeraj, Keshav, his cook, these people were taken to Sushant's house on the first 2 days and the recreation was done. Now, recreation of a scene of incident or a scene of crime is actually a very thorough process, but an investigating agency can go ahead and decide which part they want to pick. So, CBI's focus actually was about the measurement of the room, the length of the room, the height of the ceiling from the bed, which was used as a prop, allegedly by Sushant Singh Rajput for the commitment of suicide. And CBI calculated whether it was of someone of Sushant's height, was it possible for a person like that to hang himself or not. So that part of recreation is not raising any doubts. That is CBI's official statement till now. Apart from that, all those theories of there being 2 dead bodies, one ambulance not willingly taking Sushant Singh Rajput, all those theories are also dismissed because as far as the first ambulance is concerned, the first ambulance was not big enough and the wheel of the wheelchair was not working, of the stretcher was not working. That was the reason that ambulance was not used. And why was Sushant taken to Cooper Hospital was another theory. To that also CBI has got the answers that Bhabha Hospital never used to conduct postmortems because that is the nearby hospital. But despite being the nearby hospital from Sushant's location, postmortems do not happen at Bhabha Hospital. That's why the body was taken to Cooper Hospital. So all these theories, as of now, CBI's official stand is, I repeat this again, that how there is no foul play when it comes to suicide. Tanvi.
Okay, so far they haven't found anything. Still, one can say they are investigating the case. Initial days still. Let's see what comes up next. It is important to highlight that the theories that have floated, that was screamed out to you and on social media, on mainstream media, that you discussed with your friends and families, in all of those theories, so far, CBI has not found anything. Let's talk about Enforcement Directorate. Now, keep in mind, viewers, CBI is the agency that is investigating the abetment to suicide case. Enforcement Directorate is only looking if there was any kind of money laundering, if there was any money that was siphoned off, taken away from Sushant's accounts and used elsewhere, any fake companies, any dirty money involved. That's what the Enforcement Directorate is looking at. And they actually started investigating and started, their questioning much before the CBI. So, Mayuresh, let's quickly also talk about what is the status of ED's investigation so far.
So far, no arrest. So far, they haven't found anything. Only one thing which they found in Riya Chakravarti's phone, that was the drugs chat, the chat related to drugs. As Sandhya explained, the CBI part, we saw that money laundering aspect was basically still getting investigated by the ED, where there is an allegation against Riya Chakravarti and her family members that they siphoned off 15 crore rupees from Sushant's account. But so far, after going through the account statement of Sushant Singh, after just checking the account statement of Riya Chakravarti, her family members, as of now, till date, ED hasn't found anything concrete, and that's why we haven't seen any arrest from the ED side. Back to you.
Okay, Mayuresh, stay on with me because I will come back to you a little later on the show about the NCB's findings and what their remand copy says. But Alok's also been tracking the Narcotics Control Bureau. Now, let's talk about what they have found. Has nothing to do with the directly with the death of Sushant's case or the abetment of suicide case there, Alok, because this is more about these WhatsApp chats that Mayuresh was referring to. Now tell us, what is it that the NCB has found so far? They are the only agency in this case who've made any arrests. Take us through those facts.
Well, Tanvi, Narcotics Control Bureau took over this case. In fact, they registered an FIR into this case on 25th of August, and then they started conducting the investigation. There was a team that was formed under the supervision of Deputy Director KPS Malhotra from Delhi, and with his 2 officers, he went to Mumbai to conduct the investigation. In fact, the team of Mumbai Narcotics Control Bureau was also, in fact, motivated to analyze the network of the drug cartel that is working in Mumbai and especially in Bollywood. That part is very significant because there are 2 FIRs are registered into this case. First FIR that was registered on 25th of August when the chats were recovered, when the chats were accessed by Enforcement Directorate from Riya Chakravarti's mobile phone, and it was found out in the chat there were various kinds of drugs that were discussed. Then they gave that chats to Narcotics Control Bureau. On the basis of that, they registered first FIR. Then, because when they reached to Mumbai, they found out there are various networks that are operating in Mumbai. That's why they registered another FIR with a similar kind of sections. And in fact, now they are working on various networks that are working in Bollywood industry. This is one of the network they were working on, which is a kind of bud kind of drug. This is the form of marijuana, and on that drug, in fact, this drug was also recovered from some of the drug peddlers who were arrested from Mumbai's Bandra. And from their interrogation, they found out that this is the chain on which they were working on, and through this chain only, through this network only, the bud drug was reaching out to Shouvik Chakravarti. As of now, this is what the Narcotics Control Bureau is claiming on. Whether that drug was in fact given to Sushant Singh Rajput or it was procured for Sushant Singh Rajput, that is yet to be ascertained. So definitely this is what the Narcotics Control Bureau also have to ascertain. But as of now, they are working on the network that is operating in Mumbai, especially in Bollywood. Back to you.
Okay, all right, Alok, that's as far as the Narcotics Control Bureau's investigation is concerned. The only one where there have been arrests, not those directly linked to Sushant, but those allegedly who were peddling drugs and small amount of drugs as per these conversations between the WhatsApp chats that are currently under the scanner. I'm going to take a very short break. The reporters, our managing editor Vinay Tiwari, will continue to be with us. We will also have 2 very special guests joining us. No speculations, only facts, and how these cases are produced in court, fought and proven in court, the evidence that needs to be collected, where we stand today in this case. Important to note what we started off with, to ask the question, how did Sushant die and why? Are we any closer to finding that answer? Stay with me. Welcome back to this special broadcast. Viewers, in the first half of this program, we got to you the details of the exact status of investigation by the CBI, Enforcement Directorate and Narcotics Control Bureau. The most important one being that of the CBI, because everybody today is asking only one question: what happened to Sushant? Why did he die? Was it suicide? Did somebody drive him to suicide? Or was it murder? And in that, CBI is yet to find anything concrete to suggest there was foul play. But of course, we are going to keep a close eye on the investigation as it goes from here on. Now, why is there a need for us to have this conversation? It is because noise, hysteria, speculative theories, large public conversation about this is not going to get us justice. What will? And where do we go from here? That's the question. Dr. N.C. Asthana, former DGP of Kerala, joining me this evening. Mr. Kailash Vasudev, Senior Advocate of the Supreme Court as well. Vinay Tiwari is with me as well. Let me go across to Dr. Asthana. Dr. Asthana, in high-profile cases, when there is so much of attention and scrutiny, often we've seen, Dr. Asthana, that at the end of it, it becomes very difficult for the investigative agency to prove the case in the court. While, you know, the conversations make it sound as if it's a very simple open and shut case, but in the courtrooms, it's completely different. Now, I wanted to understand from you, as these cases progress, what are the challenges? What do we need to look out for in terms of really ensuring we get justice or find the truth for Sushant?
Tanvi ji, can I clarify a legal point before I answer your question? The sort of media trial, or more correctly stated, the sort of witch trial which is going on, violates not one, not two, but 3 Supreme Court orders and 1 High Court order. I will just list them in chronological order. The first order is by a 3-judge bench headed by the then CJI Justice R.M. Lodha. That was on 29th of August 2014. It was very clearly stated in unambiguous terms. Media briefings by investigating officers during ongoing investigations should not happen. I re-emphasize, should not happen. It is a very serious matter. The issue touches upon Article 21, that is right to life and liberty, including a fair trial. Second point, agencies should stop giving media briefings immediately after arrest of a suspect, as what is said by the IOs in press conferences prejudices the person even before he is charged of the crime. Third point, even statements made by witnesses in a pending case affects the fundamental right of the accused and works to create a stigma against him. Then the second order was passed by the then CJI Justice Kehar on February 8, 2017. He very clearly said, reputation of a person is very important. People may be arrested if they are shown on electronic media. Their reputation is smeared forever, even though they may be acquitted later. The third order by the Honorable Supreme Court was given on September 2018, in which very simply it was stated, media trial of cases cannot be allowed. The fourth order is by Kerala High Court, a division bench of Kerala High Court on August 12, this year only, August 12 of 2020, very clearly stated police officers should not reveal facts learned through investigation in criminal cases to media. The fifth, of course, is a guideline issued by the PCI on August 29. These channels may ignore the PCI guidelines, but they are bound to obey the orders of the Honorable Supreme Court and the Kerala High Court Division Bench. In fact, the Supreme Court has taken a strong objection to statements made under Section 161 and 164 being released before the media. Now, just compare the position of these orders with what is happening now. They are not merely leaking details of the investigation. I mean, the poor girl is being literally hounded in a manner which is acutely reminiscent of the witch trials which took place in medieval Europe from the 14th to the 17th century. And as you are aware, even by the most conservative estimates, nearly 40,000 women were burnt at a stake on the allegation that they were witches practicing witchcraft. Probably some of the viewers might be interested. All this was based upon a book called Malleus Maleficarum, written by a man called Heinrich Kramer in 1486, and another gentleman called Matthew Hopkins. He even prescribed tests. Look for witch's mark, ordeal by water, or pricking the skin. That you prick the skin, it was a fake needle, and it doesn't hurt. This means the person is a witch. Now, as we are aware, this poor girl was accused to start with a black magic, having given hypnotic drugs, then even words like sex bait, gold digger, vishkanya, Dayan, all such dirty words have been used against her. The channels which have been reporting on this matter in such a vociferous manner, they have actually been violating Supreme Court orders, and not only that, they are tormenting the poor girl this way. Now, as far as investigation is concerned, another legal point must be made very clear, that generally, even senior officers think that once you have a case before you, you are obliged to lay the charge sheet in the case. No, it was stated very clearly by the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Jamna Chaudhary and others versus State of Bihar, that the role of the investigating officer is to bring out the real unvarnished truth for the courts to reach a right conclusion and not merely to lay the charge sheet. So the whole thing is being driven by summary ignorance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, I get the point that you're making, and thank you for actually giving all of those examples as well of all the times the Supreme Court has had a message our industry. We seem to have forgotten that right now. Let me also bring in Mr. Kailash Vasudev. Mr. Kailash Vasudev, what happens to cases? Does it become more difficult to prove them in court when there are so many leaks, so many theories, so much speculation, so much of public conversation, a media trial that happens? Does it impact the case negatively?
Good evening. See, there was a point of time, not 25 years ago, when most judges didn't even receive the newspapers in their houses. They considered to be an interference in the line of thought. I know Supreme Court judges till 1970s, 80s, they didn't even see television. Even today, some judges don't. Because they feel that any opinion expressed in the media may have a bearing on their thought process. Today, the way the media is going about the whole situation, forget this situation where a simple case which started on an FIR or an investigation for the purposes of a suicide is panning out. We are sparing nobody. We are sparing no circumstance. We are not hesitating to damn every institution. First, it was all the artists who constitute the film industry in the Bollywood area. Then it came down to a situation where the findings of the investigation process was being intimidated. One investigation in Bombay, another police station, the police from Bihar coming into the picture, handing it over to the CBI. And now comes the drugs angle. The essential case is whether this young man committed suicide or was he murdered. In order to investigate the case, there are two basic cardinal acts which govern it: evidence and the Criminal Procedure Code. The Criminal Procedure Code prescribes the procedure for leading up to a trial. The Evidence Act sets out the manner in which you have to gather evidence. Today, based on what the media says, we've spent from the 15th of June till today, God knows how many thousand hours, discussing an incident of suicide and giving it twists, turns, alterations, everything which can be done for TRPs. In the bargain, an entire family has been ruined on the charges or on the debates which have taken place. It's a very sad situation where, in my opinion, human relationships going bad are now becoming a matter of sinecure. Sushant Singh Rajput, Riya Chaudhary,
yes,
a lot of other friends, their families, everything went on for years together. When the incident of his demise took place on June 15th, suddenly there was a twist in the tale. Everybody wanted to hop onto the media bandwagon. Bollywood is biased. Bollywood has this. Bollywood has a wall against people. Then you come to the second stage, the investigations. The criticism of the investigations is phenomenal. Now is a drugs angle. Then there is a money laundering. So everything is being done to keep the media occupied and in the bargain ruin the reputation of people coming to trials. Once there is a report, the police has to follow a settled procedure. They have to follow the procedure to ascertain facts. Statements are recorded on one. Investigations go on in the 156 of the CRPC. There's a whole gamut. There's a procedure prescribed by law. In this case, everything is being followed by grey abandon. No one is bothered. No one is concerned. Everything which is happening is on suspicion and a lead which may be handed out by the police or which may be picked up by the media. The media picks up a lead with the police informant that possibly we can work in this direction, and lo and behold, you have the whole thing coming out in the channels like it has happened. Whether it's money laundering, whether it is drugs, these are not matters which come into the fore in this case. If there's a drugs racket, it is not related to the suicide. You may be small consumers, you have certain provisions on taking narcotics. Now we come to this money laundering. Money laundering takes place when the state files a case that you have taken away the state's money. Here is an allegation made that this young lady took away the money belonging to the young man. So therefore, by a deemed provision in the Money Laundering Act, you bring in all sorts of things. The ED comes in and forensic examinations and the fraud institutions come in. Then another very disturbing element in this. The incident takes place in Bombay. Out of nowhere, after a month or so, maybe a little more, our first information is lodged in another state. The police in that state says, I have all the authority over this case, and I'm not concerned as to what the local police have done in the place where the incident took place. This is a very dangerous trend. The Supreme Court has now taken certain orders. They have passed certain directions. They will go into it. But what worries me is this. Today, as we see it, notwithstanding cautions, notwithstanding directions, notwithstanding statutory provisions, the journalists are becoming policemen with no police training. This is very dangerous. Let the policemen do their job.
No, I completely agree with you, Mr. Kailash Vasudev. In fact, Mr. Kailash Vasudev, if I may just come in there, you are right. And all that energy for us, we use that energy and we use that focus and commitment as a journalist to ask the questions of the agencies on what they have found. And we go by that. We also, make it a point to go back to the theories that were raised and ask the question if the investigative agencies have found any evidence, any merit to those theories. Now, I want to in fact give this example. When the post-mortem report, finally we got a hold of it, we went through all the pages, we put all the pages out. Most didn't want to speak about it anymore. People had forgotten that there was this whole conspiracy theory about what was found and how his body looked and what was on his body and what the post-mortem report allegedly said at one point of time. But when the facts appeared, that theory was phased out because the theory churners had moved on to the next and to the next and to the next. Now the drug investigation continues. We've already started to talk about a fresh complaint and a complaint and jurisdiction of that fresh complaint, and that's how it goes on, Vinay. Sometimes it is also important to tell people what comes out of the investigation, the autopsy report, the remand copy, and what the remand copy of the NCB releases. What is it that they really have in hand right now? What have they found? CBI dismissing some of the conspiracy theories, ruling out those theories and saying, well, we haven't found any evidence yet. ED yet to find any evidence of money being laundered in crores as was being alleged. Sometimes, Vinay, it is important to reiterate and highlight these facts for people to know, isn't it?
Yes, and let me just reverse the now much prevalent concept of journalistic ego, which is that journalistic ego compels possibly every journalist to say, oh, I know it. Let me reverse this by saying, well, I don't know it. And I think in investigation cases, it is very necessary that we do have the courage to say, well, we don't know, because investigations are evolving processes. It is not something that you can decide in a day. As both the very distinguished panelists that we have specified, ultimately it's the CRPC and the Evidence Act that decides what construes as evidence and what will hold up in an process of law and what doesn't. As I said, two very distinguished panelists will bear me out on this. When you have witnesses to a case talking openly, singing in public, giving statements, talking to media, it's a defense counsel's delight. It takes away entirely the prosecution agency's element of surprise that they may have in terms of confronting accused or actually putting out a fact that the defense may not know of. It compromises the ability of the prosecution to actually build a cogent case in a court of law. It allows the defense to argue that because facts of this case are either public or already well known, the witness accounts can actually be demolished or destroyed in a court of law. It is ultimately harming more than it is helping. And I think it is very important for us to say that while the journalists and our media reserves the right to ask questions and must keep right to asking questions, we must also know that Indian law prescribes either recommendatory or prescribed or mandated time periods within which certain investigative processes need to be completed. Those questions must be asked. If the ED or the CBI fail to file a charge sheet in 90 days, we must raise those questions on why we've done that even after the arrest has happened. Or if the case has not moved beyond a point or beyond the obvious facts in the next couple of weeks or so, the questions must be raised of those agencies. But to raise questions and to actually start a parallel investigation ends up damaging the cause of justice more than actually helping it, Tanvi.
Yes, and that is also a very important, thing that we must highlight. If people really want justice, think about what you are doing and how that's going to impact the case and its prosecution in the court. In fact, Vinay, to what you were saying, I was on leave last week and I met many, relatives that I spoke with, family members that I managed to catch up with. They all had the same question: what happened to Sushant? Everybody wanted to know, and all I could say was, well, we don't know. Nobody really knows. It's what the investigative agencies to find out. And I think that is something that your journalists also need to keep in mind. Passing judgment sitting here is not our job. Bringing the facts as we find them and presenting the facts is our job. I'm going to take a very short break. We'll be back with more. Stay with me.